Hey team, Glenn Azar here. Welcome back to the Building Better Humans Project podcast. This is yet another episode of Mayhem Monday, which means we have
Mayhem. Hello.
in the building.
Hi.
I feel like it's been a little while since we've recorded these. We've literally just come back from PNG, where Millie was defending her 57-kilogram national title. We'll talk about that, but we'll just say briefly successfully. Defended. And reigning and defending.
And it's funny because it was in rainy Lae. Lae City. It's a city in Papua New Guinea. Rains a lot.
And they call it rainy Lae.
They do call it rainy Lae. Glenn didn't believe me. I was like, oh, that's why they call it rainy Lae. And he's like, shit, dad joke.
I said, do that actual? Because I'm thinking you're doing a play on rainy days, rainy Lae. And then everyone kept saying, this is why they call it rainy Lae.
And they even made a song about it, which came on when we were at Nationals. I'm like, see?
I know if it came on, they put it on.
Oh.
There was a DJ. I'm just going to say, if we look a bit tired this morning, it's because we went out last night. This was a celebration for all that Millie's had for this last 10 months. In 10 months, she's had 9 fights, which is hectic on anyone's schedule. And so we decided to go out for dinner, and then we went out to Ace Boxing event as guests of Angelo DiCarlo, which was really nice.
Ange. That was a really good fight night actually last night.
One of the most evenly matched fight nights I've seen in forever.
Because you don't always see that. Sometimes they're so mismatched, but this was really, really, really good. It was every single fight was interesting and engaging and competitive. And
I've known Ange well over 20 years, maybe 30 years. And one thing I say, whenever we fought on his cards, because years ago Mick Shaw used to fight on his cards, and Mick Shaw's the Australian champion, but you knew he just gave you 50-50 fights, and it was up to you to win them. And that's why, if his fighters do make it, like a Liam Paro or those guys, they're generally well prepared. Whereas the general model for boxing is protect my fighter for as long as I can and then hope they get a big shot, but then they're not ready. So, as a result, as the punter, just going to watch, which we don't get to do very often, you just get to see these good, even matchups. So.
And before that, we went to Stilts Dining. Amazing.
Not sponsored, but we would happily be.
Oi, yes, please. Because a couple of weeks ago, I got a question about where I go to eat because I said that I love eating out. So I gave a pretty good list of places that I do love. And let's just add Stilts Dining to it because every single thing, and Glenn and I will go out and we'll order a bunch of things and we share everything. And it's the only way to eat. You can't just get your own thing because then you get food envy, and so you got to get a bunch of entrees, a couple mains, and you share. We
order all the things, and we ordered, and we purposely hadn't eaten much through the day to be prepared for this. And the lady serving us, she was a French lady, said, "Are you guys hungry?" Like kind of a little bit of judgment that you've ordered a lot of food.
Anyway, we ate it all. So
we're pretty full, but we still ate it all.
Yeah, we weren't going to let her win.
No. So I guess before we launch into the episode, let's talk about the national titles because I think Millie had one of her best fights ever.
It was it was probably the most fun fight that I've ever had. And I've watched it back so many times. And every single time I get this excited feeling and I watch it and then I stop and I'm like, I love that fight. And you're like, yeah, I know you said. Did you love that fight? Because you haven't mentioned.
We flew home and it's like a 3-hour flight and outside of a small bit of sleep time, every time I looked over, you were watching that fight.
Oh, my God. Honestly, shout out to Magdalene from Team NCD because that was just fun. It was high-paced. She was aggressive. She kept coming forward.
And for the people listening who've never experienced boxing, fun doesn't mean it was easy. It's the opposite.
No.
It was hard.
It was very hard, but you had to be on the whole time. And in comparison to last Nationals, both of those fights that I had last Nationals were fairly easy fights. And when I look back on it and watch it back, the first fight that I had last year, I'm like, I could have done more. I could have got her out way quicker, but I was just sort of pacing because I didn't know what the competition was like.
Yeah, the unknown.
Yeah. And then this year, I had Magdalene, who I'd never fought before because she came down in weight to fight us because there was no one in her weight.
So she was the national champion, 60-kilogram national champion, so upper weight division. So she's come down purposely to fight us because there was no one in her division. So she was big, she was strong.
She swung them. I copped one of her right hooks. And I was like, oh.
And one to the body.
And one to the body, straight in the middle. And it took it out of me a little bit.
You had to get on the skate
for a bit.
But that's where, so Millie has a bit of a propensity to get into a brawl, it's fair to say, because you can generally look at nationalities and have an idea of their styles of fighting. And I know Filipinos and PNG normally are big punchers. They normally have good power. And so they love a brawl because they're going to back their power. And and the Thais can be a bit like that depending on their experience. Australians tend to box a little bit more. So Americans have a lot of boxing and movement. The British just like to brawl. This is very generalised, but you kind of know what you're getting with different nationalities. So when you get to PNG, they all just want to bomb. No one throws a jab. They just want to kill each other.
No one throws a jab.
So Millie can get sucked into that. And then we knew in this fight that wasn't going to be the smart way to fight a bigger fighter who was strong. And she was launching that right hand like a missile.
She wanted to take my head off with that right hand.
And she never stopped coming forward. She was a bit like the Terminator.
Even when I'd hit her with 2-3 shots, she'd smile and just walk forward.
Yeah,
and I'm like, okay, girl, let's go.
But then you stood and brawled at certain times because you have to let people know that I'm not going to be pushed around either. It's just about choosing when to do which. And I've always said this, I think boxing is a great metaphor for life. In life, you've got to know when to stand your ground and when to move. You've got to know the tactics of how you do what you do when you do it. And so boxing's much the same. It was about outboxing her for the most part, but every now and then saying, I'll stand and fight with you as well. And we managed to win those engagements too. We won the fight unanimously, which for non-boxers means we won every single round on all judges' cards. So that sounds, that was an easy fight. It was not.
It was not at all.
Like if I said to Millie, if you had stopped for any 30 seconds and just tried to rest, she might have got you out of there because she was not stopping.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should have been the final, but in the amateurs, you just get drawn out of a hat.
Yeah.
So they drew each other in the very first round and had to fight.
So there were 3 girls in my weight division, me including, and so I fought Magdalene on the first one just because that's how it was drawn, and then the second day in the finals, I fought the same girl that I fought in the finals last year, and last year we got her out in the first 10 seconds of the second round, and this year we got her out in the first minute and a half of the first round.
And it was nowhere near as good a fight?
Nowhere near as good a fight, but because of the luck of the draw, she got silver, which I feel Magdalene should have got, but that's just how it is.
But I mean, from you, I don't think it was as good a fight.
Oh, no, not at all.
So
the second fight, I was rushing. I just wanted to get her out of there because I knew that I could. Yeah. And so it was rushed, it was messy, and it was just
You copped a couple that you shouldn't have copped just because you were...
And it wasn't structured, and I remember you taking my gloves off, and you're like, look, good, but that was a bit wild. And I'm like, I just won the final. Chill out.
But no, it was a good experience. Going to Lay, first time in Lay for you, first time for me in 15 or 20 years. I can't remember the last time I went to Lay, but a long time ago when I used to do Black Cat. And so it was a good experience.
Yeah, Lay's beautiful. My first time in rainy Lay.
We stayed at the Lay International and some other fighters were there. And, our weight cut was good.
Yeah.
We did
weight
all
cut was great.
Everything went well.
Everything went well.
So now we're having a break because I think your body needs it.
I've got a few niggles here and there. I think my brain needs it as well because when you're in fight camp, you're constantly watching what you're eating. You can't relax. You have something to eat, or you have maybe one wine and you're feel bad because, what if I don't make weight? And it's a little bit ridiculous, but that's just always on your mind is making weight and how you're going to perform the next day.
And you're under pressure all the time.
All the time. And so we've been just putting ourselves under pressure for 10 whole months, which is kind of hectic because we've had 3 professional fights and I've lost count of the amateur fights that we've had in that time, but 6, I would say, because we had 9 total,
2, 4, 6, yeah.
Yeah. And
we've taken fights in situations we probably shouldn't have, and we've, for the most part, managed to pull that off.
Yeah.
But
and
it's
our
just
weight
time to have a break.
division is 54 in the pros and 57 in the amateurs.
Yeah.
And we've
53 and a half in the pros.
Yeah, so we've gone up and down and up and down and up and down, and my body's, it's not great for you. It's not the healthiest thing to do.
And your nutritionist, dietitian's like, please stop.
Can you, my dietitian is like, please, can you just chill out? So shout out to Rosie. Thank you very much.
Tell me about, or I guess tell people listening about the overall experience. And I'll set this up. So for those that know the story, when Millie and I first met, it was because she was training for years, like 4 years really, and never getting put in the ring by a trainer, which we've talked about before. So then you come to me, we nearly get you ready to fight. 2 weeks out, we do an ACL, 12 months of repair, which still really isn't 100%. And then because I felt like we needed a push and some inspiration, one day I just rang a promoter and I rang you and said, do you want to fight in 5 weeks? First fight. And then we've gone back to back to back to back to back. And a part of me was doing that because I knew you'd come from a background where you were getting pulled out of fights. So I didn't want to say no to fights. And now we've kind of got to the stage where we go, we have to stop.
We have to.
It's
just
an addiction
chill
almost.
for a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me now the wrap up of what you've learnt in the last 10 months of fighting, because you can learn as much as you want on focus pads or hitting bags or even sparring, but it's not the same as fighting. So for any of you out there not talking about boxing, anything you want to be good at in life, even if it's personal development, at some stage you've got to stop listening to podcasts, stop reading books, and start doing stuff. Boxing's the same. I think you got as good as you could get under any trainers you had without fighting. So now we've had 10 months, 9 fights. What are some lessons that you've learned from that about yourself, about the sport?
I've learned that preparation is key. So it's a lead up to the fight. So I feel like you back yourself during your prep. You do absolutely everything that you need to do and can do during prep so that when it comes to fight night, you look back and you think like, there's nothing that I haven't done. And now with the little bit of nerves that you have, but you're not overly like not believing in yourself because you're like, I've actually done the prep now. So I believe in myself. I'm going to go out and do it, you know, because I feel like if you, like you always say, if you take shortcuts, that's going to be in your head. You're going to, on fight night, go, I didn't do this, I didn't do this, I didn't do this. I'm so nervous now because any of those 3 or 4 or 5 or things that I didn't do could come out to haunt me in the ring. So if you feel like you did absolutely everything that you had to do, you were programmed to do, there's less nerves, still some, but less because you're really backing yourself. You're back in your training, you're back in your prep.
Yeah.
I've also learned to move my head a little bit. Head movement, lots
in
and lots of head movement.
we say lick das all. So a little bit. She's not moving it a lot, but she's moving a little bit. Actually, no, that's not true. Like you pulled off some real good off centre line movements.
I watched that fight back and I like hit her with one, two, and then move out real quickly. Like I move
or
my
slip
head a
your
lot.
head off to the side and shoot your punches up the centre.
Because before I came to you, I'd hit a 1-2 and I'd just stand there and just wait.
Like, come on,
Yeah, let's go. But, you know, we're going to move. We're going to move and not get hit.
I remember years ago I was training Shane Webke for a fight against Andrew G, and they're footy players for those that don't follow rugby league. And Shane has no natural boxing skill, but he's a phenomenal athlete. And I was teaching him, and he said, "Oh, mate, I don't care about all the fancy shit." The fancy shit, by the way, was throwing a jab and keeping your hands up. And I just said to him, this sport is way more fun if you can land 2-1. And it just is. And he kind of got that in the end and started learning to actually try and defend himself. It all went out the window once the fight started, but...
Because we'll say with Magdalene, if I didn't move my head, I would have got hit.
Yeah.
Like...
And she had power.
Yeah, she actually did. Like, she sucked it right out of me when
That
she
body
hit me.
shot,
Oh, man. I was like, oh, don't show it, don't show it, don't show it, don't show it.
So you've learned preparation matters.
Move your head.
Move your head.
But also footwork, lots of footwork, moving around the ring, you know, like, and we did that with Magdalene's fight as well. Move around side to side, you know, trick her, you know, don't just stand in one place.
In 9 fights, we've won 4 titles, and we should mention that you won the female fighter of the tournament.
Yay.
So, yeah, that's like 4 titles and an award in 9 fights.
Yeah. I've also learned just to chill out and take a break at some point because this week's been really hard for me.
That's what you're really bad at.
Yeah, taking a rest. So this week's have been really hard for me. Every single day I've woken up thinking I'm going to the gym. And then my body's like, no, you're not.
And the other side of that is nearly every day, even in the last few weeks, you'll say to me, I don't know why I'm so tired. I don't know why I want to sleep. And I'm going, because you're literally not letting yourself rest. So you do know why. So, yeah, I've almost forced a break on you. And, you know, having a few cocktails a couple of nights this week already, going out to a dinner. I've
got a comedian on Friday.
You're still putting stuff.
Taking a proper break.
Yeah, you're still putting stuff in your calorie counter, but that's just for your knowledge. It's not for, oh, my God, I've only got X amount of calories left for today. We're not doing that.
No.
And I think that's... Yeah,
I'm trialing some new foods, so I want to put them in my MyFitnessPal so that I know what they are.
Yeah.
Because as when you keep tracking, you just automatically know what you're eating based on how much you've tracked in the past.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to.
You're pretty good at
all
that.
those. Yeah, I want to add all those new foods and.
I think a good point for people listening or watching is that, like, we get questioned a lot about our relationship, obviously, and particularly mixing the relationship personally with the coaching relationship. And my biggest thing is that anyone that's in your corner should be in your corner. And therefore, part of my job is to make sure that you take the rests when you need to take the rests as well. And like, I don't care if you've got a boxing coach or a coach and whatever your thing is, and a relationship, as in if they're two separate people, they should both be in your corner.
Yep.
And the fact that I'm one of those people doing both things, I still should be in your corner in both things. And I think we do a pretty good job of that for the most part. That even when we fight, even though that's more difficult, we still do the professional thing for the most part. You know, like we're still humans and we still have emotions and we still do all the things that everyone else does. But my biggest thing is if you're ever doubting that the people in your life are in your corner, then you need to distance them from the thing you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I can say, and I've experienced this, where partners say they want,
the best for them,
yeah,
or whatever their goal
go and
is.
chase your goal of be it boxing or whatever it is, but then a low key kind of digging under it all the time or just undermining what you're doing, and that's not a thing for us. And I very openly talk about your boxing and where you're at, and we're novices really as far as actual in-ring experience, even though we're getting a phenomenal result. But the way I talk about it to you, I talk about it when you're not there too. But mostly when I talk to boxing promoters, you're in the car a lot of the time. There's no secrets in what we're trying to achieve. We're not saying we're anywhere near where we want to be. And I would almost suggest you stop fighting if you ever think you get to the stage where, right, that's it, I've made it. Because we've trained athletes like that, we've sponsored athletes like that, we've managed athletes like that. And when they get this sense of entitlement, it is almost impossible to teach them new things.
Yeah.
They're not coachable anymore.
No.
So, and we're a long way from that. And if I ever felt like we got there, I would have to step away as your coach. Someone else would have to step in if I don't feel like I could guide you. So the guidance isn't just, as a coach, when you've got a good athlete, you can get so excited about them being a good athlete, you let all the other stuff go, good and bad. And so in this case...
Like personality traits,
they turn up late to training and you go, oh, well,
they're that good, so whatever.
He can get away with it. They've got a lesser opponent because you move fighters up slowly in the pro ranks, so they don't really need to push hard. And once you start making those adjustments for someone, you're actually doing them a disservice and yourself. Because one, they could run into a snag and they could get beaten by someone they shouldn't. Or two, you're preparing them, maybe 10, 15, 20 fights down the track, you're going to fight for a world title. You don't know when that's going to happen. Assuming you progress the right way and you keep winning. And if you let them have bad habits in fight 1, 2, and 3, they're going to have those bad habits in fight 10, in fight 12. And eventually it's like a world title fight coming up, I need you to give me 100%. And they're used to turning up late. And they're used to maybe eating what they shouldn't eat. And they're used to not taking the weight off the right way, so not being in optimal shape. And so you have to own that as a coach. And if I can't do the right thing by someone there, I'll remove myself. But I've only had to learn that recently. I've done it with 3 or 4 athletes in the last 18 months where I felt like I was doing my own values a disservice and I felt like therefore I'm no longer able to help them either. So, and even though those relationships end badly because people don't like you walking away, we've had to walk away. Which I think is a good segue into a conversation that we can have around people that we've helped who then have done the wrong thing. When you step away. And I don't know how you want to start that conversation, but I think there are a lot of people out there, if you're in personal development or you're even interested in it, you're probably someone that likes to help a lot of other people as well who don't really want to do the work.
Yeah, so we could talk about helping people out of the goodness of your own heart or genuinely wanting what's best for somebody else and you being able to assist that, and then them taking advantage of that.
Yeah.
So people thinking that your kindness is weakness and they can take advantage, really.
Yeah. So when you've helped someone,
They can step on you.
well, first they really appreciate it. And then over time they start to expect it, and then they start to feel entitled to it. And then when you start to step back and say, well, we're not doing that anymore, they get angry.
Yeah.
Because they feel like, but you owe that to me, but you don't owe them anything.
No.
And if you're a good person, you feel bad because you feel like you've tried to take someone on a journey. We've personally had this situation numerous times in the last 12 months, and particularly in the last 6 months, where so we had an athlete, and we won't name names, who we brought over from overseas, we fully worked with, we sponsored as far as the athlete's accommodation, food, training, and medical. So there's nothing else that you need.
Anybody who doesn't know why athletes want sponsorship, it's essentially because we need all the time to train. So we don't really have time for a job.
So sponsorship isn't about money for me to go and buy clothes and go and do things.
Once you get to a certain level of sponsorship and you're getting paid high, then you go do whatever you want with your money. But the first level of sponsorship is essentially because you don't have time for a job because all your life is dedicated to this sport.
Well, we'll train 3 times a day.
Yeah, pretty much. So, and we have jobs. So it's really hard. So any sponsors listening?
Actual.
So basically you give an athlete sponsorship so that they don't have to work because their job is
So typical, it's
training.
transport, it's their
Food.
rent, it's their food, it's their training bills, medical
phone bills, it's their rent, it's absolutely everything that they need to live, which is usually what you get a job for. So that's why athletes get sponsored. So with this particular athlete, we, based on how many jobs we have between us, decided to give this person a chance because, well, we wanted to give him a chance.
Yeah, we just thought he was talented. He was coming from a country that doesn't have a lot of support. We were getting told stories about how hard it was for him and how little he was being paid back home.
I obviously have a connection to this because it's my home. And so we wanted to support people from my home. The other side of that is we really want to push Papua New Guinea boxing in Australia. So we thought that me and this athlete could do that over here.
And I'll just say, the reason we're going to talk about this is twofold. There's lessons for you listening that you can commit so far down a road and someone can take advantage of it, and it's okay for you to walk away. It's hard, but it's okay because you have this thing called a sunken cost fallacy, which is where I've put so much into this. So we would have put conservatively, and we're not wealthy, but what it's cost us in time, money, extra shifts, like Millie doing night shifts and stuff to help pay for things, probably $15,000, which is a lot of money. If I was
in
to
a
put,
very short amount of time.
if I was to put a dollar figure on it. So then you think, well, I've put that much into it, and we were never going to get money back out of it. That's not what it's about. But it was like, we've put that much into it, we should keep going. And then once they know that you're dealing with this sunken cost fallacy, they think they're not going to pull out of this because they've already gone so far down the road.
But homie, don't play like that.
No. And it would be, to be honest, we've become stronger together.
Yes.
In that sense, because I'm definitely someone that people pleases in that sense. Not in everything I do, and I was thinking about this on the drive here. I wonder, even for you maybe, if it's a psychological thing based off probably not receiving love or attention or validation the way we probably should have as young kids. We both had pretty tough upbringings. So I'm not here to disrespect our parents or anything, but we just had tough upbringings. And so I wonder if that's where a lot of your hangover, as in mine, comes from wanting to be validated in some way. Because I've always thought I don't care about people's validation. But I'm increasingly, particularly since I've been with you, starting to understand I do. And I've got to learn to curb that a little bit because then people take advantage of it. So the twofold is to explain to people listening, because you may go through similar things. And the second is that it kind of went sour once we decided to release the athlete. And we'll get to that part of the story, but then they've kind of gone, or his partner's kind of gone a bit public, having a go at us about it. And I think if you're going to put something out in the public arena, then we will have a right to reply. And this is a part of the rawness that I've always promised on the Building Better Humans project. And particularly last year, I said I'm going to be more raw, more real, give you more usable, rather than go, our life's perfect and everything is so good.
Because we have a pretty good life and we've created that.
Yeah.
But there are things that make us sad, make us angry. Like, like this is one of those low points that we've
So the unraveling and the
upon.
red flags that popped up early were the athlete contacted me before coming over, and he said, my partner's got a job in Australia, which we later found out wasn't entirely true, and is it okay if she can stay with us for a while? And she starts work next week. Anyway, so we said, yep. So she came over without him initially, and so we're housing her now, and that wasn't in our contract.
No.
Our contract was for the athlete only.
We just said that to him.
Just to help him out.
Yep.
And we thought, well, she's going to work, so she'll pay for her own food, and 5 months. 5 months of no work, no paying for her own food.
So when she did have a job lined up, and it was so far out of our way. So we took her there on the next couple of days that she was here, so that she could do an induction there. And then we see paperwork that she needs, which
a driver's license,
a blue card,
card,
a first aid course, anything that you need to work with children. She didn't have.
She had none of it.
None of it. So it's just like, I feel like you would have read your job description before you came here with absolutely nothing. Like, that's a bit of a stab in the bloody dark, mate.
But at this early stage, we're like, okay, well, we'll help her get started.
Yeah, because it's really not hard. Oh, well, it's a process, but you can get it. So we
drove her around to Department of Transport.
We put her in her first aid course,
We paid for all of this.
Yeah, and I hate listing things that I've paid for.
I know, because we don't do it for that.
Really hate it. But it's relevant to the story, because you cannot do all these things for somebody and then be completely disrespected and slandered online after, because as if we're really terrible people, because
just because we said we're not spending any more money.
And because terrible people wouldn't do all these things, especially when there's nothing in it for us. Because if you look back on it, there's nothing that these people could have given us.
Nothing.
There's no money back that you could have given us. There's no social favors or networks that you could have given us. There's nothing in it for us, other than we're doing it because...
No one listening or watching thinks, I know you now because of this athlete.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't change anything in our lives.
No, nothing.
We're helping you.
We're helping you. And we're doing that because I have a connection to my home country. Whenever I see people from my country need help, I want to help. Papua New Guinea is a very community-based place. So
I can also take advantage, as we've learned, because this has happened a few times.
Yeah, so... when I come from this background of helping people because it's part of the village, that's just what we were doing. So there was nothing in it for us. So, we did all these things because we wanted to help.
So it took weeks and weeks and weeks of getting all these qualifications, and then us constantly saying, when's the job start?
What's happening?
It's always starting next week.
What's happening?
It's always starting next week. There's other jobs going. There's a job down at the sushi shop. There's a job, but no, I want to be in this job only initially.
And it's my understanding that the job was basically what I work in currently. One of my jobs is residential youth care. And so you need a license. You need to be able to drive these children if they need to go to the hospital, if they need to go to school, if there's an emergency, when you can take them to go contact their parents. You need to be able to do that. So you need a license, which
in
she
hindsight,
didn't have.
There was a lot of untruths. There was a lot of just not telling us what was going on. And it was constantly, and then they got a baby back home, staying with the parents, and it was constantly, we need money for the baby, for nappies. And so then we started sending money home, which is a bit silly. And
because
we
the
feel
baby
bad.
needs to eat, the baby needs things,
And then there's medical bills that the partner racked up some medical bills, he racked up some medical bills. And in Australia, if you're not from Australia,
you don't have Medicare. This costs a lot of money.
And again, we're only saying this because we want to give depth of context
Yes.
to how much we did. And we've got our own 2 boys living there. But then once the athlete come over, started training, had his first fight, went really well, got paid, 6 times what he got paid for his fight, and then said, I want more money. We said, hang on.
The day that we got home from the Gold Coast, we sat down at the table to have dinner, and immediately he said, can we ask the promoter for more money next time? And it's like, mate, you have to be able to sell in professional boxing.
Yeah.
It's a business.
It cost us money for that
It's not amateur
fight.
boxing where you're representing your country or your boxing gym.
Yeah.
You're representing yourself as a business. So promoters don't care who you are or how good you fight as long as you can sell. No, it's a business. They need to make money. So asking for more money straight off the bat was like, you're not paying for anything, mate.
Yeah, so you got no...
You're a fully sponsored athlete. We're paying.
Weekly massages.
And that's the other thing is we, in the contract, say that we'll take 10% of your purse. We didn't even take that. We gave you every single cent.
But the other side of it...
that you got paid for that fight.
The other side of it was, because he's so talented, he started skipping, or very early started skipping training, and I'm pretty tough on that normally. But with you, I've never had to be. You just train, right? So we've got a gym in
You
our
don't have
house.
to check up on me. I'll do my training.
Yeah, we've got a full gym in our house. That everything, assault bike, rowing machine,
Rower,
weights.
bench,
Yeah.
squat rack.
So we went to
everything.
Canada earlier this year, and I wrote him a full training program. He's an ex-Olympian, and I come home and he hasn't done any of it.
Well, he said he did.
He told me he did.
He said he did. And then later on, his partner, who really weirdly loved to say bad things about him.
She constantly was bagging him out.
It was a really weird
We should
sort
actually
of a
say that
relationship.
first. They fought day and night.
Yeah, and I don't want to like out them and stuff like that, but that's also relevant to why we didn't want them in our home anymore.
One morning, she's up yelling and screaming at 6 o'clock in the morning, and our
children
kids
are
are in the
trying to
next
sleep,
room.
and it was just kind of
We're
weird.
like, hey,
I know this is all personal stuff that we're saying, but
this
it
is in our
all
house.
is relevant to why we asked him to leave in the first place. So all of these things sort of added up and
$50 cash here, $100 cash there. It was like all of a
paid
sudden.
for go-karts, and we paid for their phone bill every single month, and like, you know.
Yeah. And my point to all of that is that you need to know when you're being disrespected.
100%.
And it was starting to become clearer and clearer that we were just becoming the cash cow.
And the reason we brought up her not working is because all of these tiny little things that we were paying for, if she had a job, she could pay for herself.
Yeah, which we were
phone
told.
bill, transport, food for your baby back home, nappies for your baby back home.
Even to the point that after 5 months, she started working 3 days a week. And after a month, we're like, there was no money, and we're saying, and
we're
still
still
needing
paying
money
for
for us. And then she's, oh no, they're not paying me. And I go,
Well, like, this is
I said, that's
Australia.
illegal in Australia for them to have you working. You know, oh yeah, it's like an internship.
And then we said,
that
what's
doesn't
the
sound
company
right.
called? And we didn't get a company name. Like, I know every single I can list it right now. I've had so many jobs in my life. I could promise you I could list every single
and she
company
didn't know
that
the
I've
company
worked
name.
for
Oh, what's the company name?
since I was 13 and a half years old.
Yeah, there's so much going on. And then, so we come home from Canada. She comes and says to Millie, he hasn't trained at all. So I approached him and said, mate, I've been told that you haven't trained. And he just would always do this. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, coach.
Oh,
and
I can't even look at it.
I didn't, I didn't tell you the truth. And I'm like, bro. And the thing is, he was always going to win that fight. It was a step-up fight.
Yeah.
But again, how you do anything is how you do everything. You need to
100%.
train like this is a world title, because when you get to the world title, which is a much higher level, you need a system in place. There's a coach.
You need habits that you've constantly put yourself and done.
There's an American football coach who's probably the most successful coach in American football history, not NFL, in the university system, which is even bigger, called Nick Saban. And I interviewed a guy on this podcast many years ago called Jesse Williams, who played for him and for 4 years. He's an Aussie kid, but he was an All-American athlete. He was an All-American twice. He was an All-American academic twice. And he said the one thing that Nick Saban did is you always had a system. And even when they got into the playoffs and got into the finals, the system never changed. So from the beginning of the season to the end of the season, no matter how hard the game was, the next morning you turn up, he had this system where you're always in a suit. You know, when you went out to public events, he didn't care what the story was. We do everything the same. Whereas you see a lot of sporting teams and athletes that you see it here, they get into the top 8 of the rugby league, and then you've never had a top 8 team go all the way through to the final. And that's because they're happy to be in the top 8 if they're the 8th team. And then all of a sudden they might knock off the number 1 team, and you think, oh, they're a chance here. Then they get rolled because they're so excited about that. Well, Nick Saban was like, it doesn't matter. And that's the thing. You've got to have a system in place. And I kept pulling him up. And then, you know, we had a full nutrition outline for him. We were buying the best foods, the salmons and all that sort of stuff. But then he was struggling to make weight. And then we're finding out he's sneaking food out of the fridge. And he wasn't starved. It was
which I will just say, a lot of this information came from his partner.
all of it.
All of it. So otherwise, how would we know that you didn't train when you were in Canada? When we were in Canada, because he said that he did. So we would have just believed that.
And I just had this constant lies between the two. She constantly undermined him, almost like she wanted him out. But he was the only reason you were staying at our house.
Yeah, but also we will say that when they first ever started arguing, and in front of us, and we sort of felt this weird sort of energy, and her and I spoke about it in the car. We said to her, she said, I'm worried that, you know, if we break up, I have nowhere to go. And us being us, and me being me, said, there's no way that we're just going to kick you out on the street just because you guys are not together. So if he's not holding up his end of the contract, he's going to have to go home. You've got a job, which we thought at the time. So you can stay with us as long as you need until you can find your own place.
Yeah, we're not
so
just going to
we're
kick
not
you
just
out.
going to kick you out. So I feel like she took that and she ran
with it. Because then from then on,
From
they
then
fought
on, she
daily.
just badmouth him. And I'm thinking, like, what kind of relationship is this? So there's been quite a few times where I'm like, is
And we've
this what you
spoken to
really
both
want?
of them, and I just gave honest assessment. I said, I don't think this is a good relationship for you guys.
Yeah.
Because you just don't seem happy ever, and it brings a really bad energy into our house all the time.
But then also it started affecting his training. So when he was not feeling good with her or when they weren't feeling good with each other, he'd skip his training session or he'd do a little bit crap in the training session.
Disappeared overnight, disappeared for hours. Would tell me he's doing the runs. He put stuff on social media. We did a 5K run once, which wasn't a hard pace.
Very easy, to be
he had to stop. And Millie was just still running. And I had to go back and say, what are you doing, mate? Well, we need to keep running. And, I'm tired. Well,
As a professional athlete, you should be able to run 5K non-stop.
especially in your 20s in our
Yeah,
sport. So.
like unless you do shot put or something.
So this all got to the stage where then I organised another fight. And these fights cost us money because he's not selling tickets yet, really. Like, not enough to cover all the costs of an opponent. There's a lot goes into our sport. And we're okay with that because we do the same thing. We have to build a following, all that. We sell well now, but even early on, it costs us. So then organised another fight. And then the other thing is I booked flights, and 3 flights that I booked he missed. One of them we lost altogether, $1,200 just gone because he just didn't get on the plane, didn't get his medical done in time. So there's all these things. Again, the very first flight he was booked on, he missed, and I overlooked it. And in hindsight, that was a red flag. Yeah. How often in life, any of us listening, do you overlook a red flag? And you think, just because you want to be a good person. They made a mistake. Mistakes happen. And then another red flag, and then another red flag, and then a not turning up to training one morning when you're living in the house and you've just got to come downstairs to training. Slept in. Oh, sorry, coach, I slept in. And you just start ignoring all of these little things. We're checking weight. The weight's not changing. We do this for a living. You do this for a living. We know when we're getting this right. Yeah. And it just became constant and constant and constant. And I ignored it and ignored it and ignored it. Then what they did well was they split us. So she had you heavily on her side, and I was very suspicious about some of what she was saying. And then I was defending him, and then you weren't happy with him. And in hindsight, we realised that they were just working together, in hindsight. So it got to the stage where he didn't turn up. He missed all of the training block for the last fight we'd organised. And I said, I'm cancelling the fight because he didn't get on the plane. He organised someone else to get him a ticket somehow. Flies over, please keep the fight. His coach from overseas said to me, please keep the fight, give him one more chance. If he misses a training session, he missed 3 training sessions for the next 3 days. And I just said, I'm out. I'm done. We're not going to do this because he was going to win that fight easily, but I'm not going to put this. So I just told him, we're out. The fight's over. And he lost it.
But before that, his partner was working 3 days a week, apparently not getting paid for any or only getting paid for one at this stage or something like that.
That was the story.
That was the story. And she'd go to work, she'd come home, she'd go up to her room, she'd stay in the room, then she'd come down when we texted her for dinner, then she'd have a dinner, then occasionally she'd do the dishes, but not much. Then she'd go back upstairs. Then when we were out for the boys' footy or something on a Sunday, then sometimes she'd come down and she'd do a clean of the house and stuff like that. Yeah. Thank you, but that's part of living in someone's house is you help clean.
Yeah, it's a bare minimum.
Absolutely.
Even our boys are 10 and 12, they've got a role to play.
Yeah. So, but my point to that is it was always when we were not around. So she kind of didn't want to hang out with us.
So it had a bad energy, didn't it?
We were asking more questions about it, so maybe she didn't want to answer those questions. So she was kind of like avoiding us in a way. That's what it felt like. And then we had a conversation with her about like what's going on with you, and because she had messaged us.
That's all right. So, yeah, he had messaged us, and then I sat her down and she said, he's blocked me. We haven't spoken for 3 weeks and he's about to come back. So I said, we can't live like this. Like I said, you're going to have to find somewhere else to live. We cannot live like this. Like there's no rush. But sooner rather than later. If it takes a couple of weeks, it takes a couple of weeks. But we cannot live like this. I said, when did you last speak to him? Well, I can't speak to him because he's blocked me.
Yeah, so they had not been speaking for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And they'd blocked each other. And
there was cheating going on. That's none of our business. We don't care why you're blocked. We don't care what the story is. But we're getting the story, oh, he's cheated and he's done this and he's That's not ours to own. What ours is to own is that we've opened our house to you. We've got a operating family happening here. We are an athlete ourselves in training because Millie was fighting on the same fight night. She was fighting for the WBC title. That's pretty important.
Yeah.
First big international opponent, so we don't care why. But I said, well, you understand we can't have this because when they would fight, he'd be sleeping on the couch or he'd be sleeping in the garage.
On the floor in the garage?
Yeah.
Like, and then
I said, we can't do
the
this.
other side of it, like, which all adds up, is like when Christian would come, he didn't have his own room anymore. Like, that's Christian's room when he's here.
He would sleep on the couch to give you space. We displaced our family to help you.
Yeah.
And all we asked for is a bit of respect. And we just weren't getting that. So I just said, you're going to have to find somewhere else because we cannot keep doing this. And they hadn't spoken for 3 weeks.
Yeah. So we were asked, and then, he back at home had messaged us and said, I might have to stay in PNG because I need money to be able to help my family. And so I need to work. And we're like, you're a contracted athlete, so you should be here because you have a contract and you're getting absolutely everything paid for. You've signed a contract and you've made a commitment. So if anybody needs to be working back in PNG, it's your partner to help your family. So she's currently here staying with us and you're back in PNG having to work. It should be the opposite because you're the contracted athlete, not her. So I don't understand.
Then he had said to me, because they needed to supply for the baby, that she said to him, you need to do this for us. You need to stay there and work. And I said, well, no, you need to be here because otherwise, why is she here?
Yeah.
Why is our house open to someone when we actually open to a contracted athlete? And so none of this is, I'm not actually complaining about any of this. I'm going to fully own that we should have stopped this much earlier.
Yeah.
And
the lesson behind this is, see the red flags and don't be stepped on for your want to help, for your need or want to help
boundaries.
Others.
Make decisions based on your values. And when people start to break against your values,
don't feel bad.
Yeah.
Don't guilt trip yourself into
we
helping
agonised
people.
over this decision.
Yeah, for so long. Every time we got in the car, we're like, we need to, we're doing all these justifications of why we're doing this.
But when I sat her down and spoke to her and said, you understand, you can't say it. Can you organise something? Yep, I can organise something. Shouldn't be a problem. And you're a little bit emotional, obviously. And I said to her, it doesn't feel like a healthy relationship for you guys, particularly if you haven't spoken for 3 weeks. And then he's going to come back here and what's that energy going to be like? And then we went out and she disappeared and took all her stuff that day and then this is where it all started. Telling a whole story to
about
him,
how we kicked her
they
out
reconnected,
on the street,
and to other
simply
people.
Untrue.
Yeah, so we kicked her out. All this sort of absolute lies.
Yeah, she was really off you because I didn't sit in on the conversation because I didn't want it to feel like there was 2 people attacking her.
Yeah.
Because we had all these concerns that we were going to raise, like you're not getting paid for your job. We don't even know where you work. You're never here. Like you're always avoiding us, and it's just feeling really weird. Like your relationship is kind of, you're not speaking, and he's coming back from PNG in 2 days to prep for this fight, and what are you going to not be speaking in our house?
The athlete that we're sponsoring is going to be sleeping on the floor in the garage. There's many things.
And then so we thought you would speak to her because you're his coach, and so you wanted to come from a coach perspective, like I need this athlete to train properly. You're not a part of the contract. We need to figure out now that you're working what we're going to do. And
I should just say that the conversation was as calm as I'm speaking now. It was very matter of fact. Well, you were upstairs, very matter of fact, very calm. She was like, yep, understand.
Yeah, and you said, sooner rather than later, you need to find somewhere to live because he's coming back in 2 days and it's a very awkward energy. By no means did you say leave before he comes back. That might have been misunderstood by her.
No, I think she very clearly understood.
Okay.
But
then because you came upstairs after that conversation and I said, how did it go? And you said all the things that we just mentioned. And then you also said we can't just kick her out. So if he comes back and there's nowhere for her to go, we can put him in the van because
I've got a van life van. I thought, all right, we'll put him in the van.
Yeah.
It's got a bed, it's got TV, it's got fridge, it's got all the things he needs.
So if you had kicked her out then and there, why would you come up to me and offer him the van? Why would you say that? Plus, we had already talked about this before and we had both reiterated so many times to each other, we simply cannot kick her out on the street. That's not who we are.
No.
Anyway, so then she grabs most of her stuff and she's picked up by somebody. And I message her because hours had gone by and she'd not been home. And we're thinking she's coming home because we'd not kicked her out.
And it was raining.
It was raining, it was dark, it was cold. And so I messaged her, I said, hey, where are you? Or I managed to drag my big suitcase down to church. She gets picked up for church every week. So you didn't drag anything. You just took your suitcase and you put it in the back of someone's car. So already it's sounding guilt-trippy.
It sound like she was standing out in the rain.
Yeah.
To you.
So I said, where are you? Because church should have been over ages ago. And she said, oh, I'm just near the church corner. And I said, are you on the street? And I've got all of these text messages in my phone. I have the receipts, fam. I'm just on the church corner. And I'm like, what are you out in the street? And she's like, not answering that question, being very vague. And she's like, oh, no, I'll be fine. Like, I just want to be alone. And I'm like, are you on the street though? Because it's raining. I'll be fine. I'm like, are you on the street? Because I'm coming to pick you up. Please don't come pick me up. I just, I had to leave after being told to leave. I was like, you misunderstood that. No one told you to leave. Otherwise, why am I texting you to come and
And you
come
actually
home?
said to her, come back, it's raining.
I said, come back. It's raining. It's cold. I know where the church is, so I'm going to come and pick you up. All of a sudden, she's somewhere with somebody.
Yeah. Oh, no, I'm at someone's house.
I'm at someone's
the whole
house.
story changed.
The pastor's daughter came and picked me up, and I'm with her. And the story changed that she's actually safe and dry and not on a street corner at all. So I feel like that was, and we can't confirm anything, but I feel like that was in efforts to make us feel guilty.
Very dramatic.
Yeah, very dramatic.
And this is what people do when they're using you or they're feeling entitled. They will make you feel guilty.
Yeah, they will try to make you feel guilty.
Yeah, that's next week's episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, they will try and make you feel guilty.
Yeah.
And we agonised over this decision after 5 months of just constant turmoil, upset, fighting, laziness, of the athlete missing so many training sessions. We still felt bad.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And the opportunity that was presented was phenomenal. We were having good conversations with all the promoters. Anyway, that's all of that energy and all of that time and all of that money could have went into our family and your career.
Yeah.
But it didn't.
Yeah. So she has taken her stuff and she's left. And she left a few of her things. So the next day she messaged me I messaged her and I said, hey, are you okay? Again, I've got the receipts. How can I help? Where are you? She never answered where she was. I was genuinely concerned, like, where are you? And she said, I'm okay, I'm fine. I've found some, a way to somewhere to stay for now. And I said, well, can I bring the rest of your stuff to you? Because again, I want to see her. I genuinely thought like we welcomed you in as a part of my family. At that point I had no animosity towards her, nothing. Like I genuinely thought that she was upset and blah, 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 blah. And, I wanted to help. So I said, can I bring your stuff to you? I want to see you. I said, you have not seen me face to face. Like you haven't even said goodbye. Anything like that. It actually makes me emotional. Yeah, like you didn't say goodbye to the kids, like nothing.
Yeah, we actually had you in our house.
Yeah, part of the family. Anyway, haven't seen her since, really. Anyway, then it just turned hell sour when he rocked up. Didn't train because he went to find her. And when he was in the car with you on the way back from the airport, he said, Coach, I'm dedicated to my training. I'll sort out me and her later. All I'm here for is this next fight, which is meant to be on the same night as my WBC title, which was 2 weeks away at that time.
We get home, we did one night training session. We planned a second session and he disappeared. 6 hours, 7 hours later, he snuck into the house at 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night.
And he was meant to make weight for this fight because it was a title fight, Queensland title fight. So you have to make the weight. There's otherwise you don't win that
title. And he got on the plane and then landed here. It's a 3-hour flight, 4 kilos heavier than what we were told.
Yeah.
And
So when he was in PNG, we said, what's your weight? And we asked the coach over there as well. They told us his weight. We were like, okay,
68
you're well on track.
He had to make 66. He lands here and I put him on the scales. He's 72.
72. How did you put on 4 kilos in 2 days?
I said to him, how did you put on 4 kilos in 2 days? And again, he did that thing where he just went, Coach, I must tell you the truth. I was eating lots of junks. And I'm like, I was infuriated because we had to really push to get him a state title fight because he's not from Australia. We're saying he's based here now, Queensland title fight. We had to chase an opponent because he's a tough fighter, so no one wants to fight him. We did all of that. We had the promoter on board. The promoter was umming and ahhing about, because he doesn't sell well, but they're backing us. And we did all of that, and then you've come in 4 kilos overweight.
Because we were on the same fight night, the promoter was like, Millie sells well, so, we'll chuck her in those two under the same trainer, manager, and back that they'll sell well.
And then he gets on the scales 4 kilos overweight in 2 days. And I was just like, that's when I just knew I can't help you.
Yeah.
I can't help you.
Yeah.
So...
And then we were like, we need to cancel this fight and send you home because this is not it. This is not how we conduct ourselves professionally.
It's embarrassing to us in the industry.
100%. And this is not the standard that we set, and this is not the standard that we accept. And so we need to cancel that fight. I need one more chance, he said. And we contacted the coach back home, who we're really good friends with. He's a really, really good guy. And he said, give him one more chance. If he misses one more training session, then can it. So then you took him on pads, and he was pretty unfit on the pads.
I'm not going to lie.
And you've got to fight in 2 weeks. You should be...
It wasn't even. I think it was 10 days out.
Yeah, so you got 3 days before taper week, so you should be fit as hell.
Yeah.
Because that whole week of
still
taper
eating
week,
well,
you're not doing anything, but you need to be able to keep that level of fitness. And if you've done the camp properly, 1 week doesn't take that fitness away. But, yeah, so then... You said tomorrow you're sparring.
I'd organise a sparring session at another gym with another athlete.
With another athlete. We've contacted, and it's early in the morning. So these athletes have to be up early. They have to have breakfast. They have to do all the things. They have to get there to warm up. So you have to be awake early in order to have a 6 a.m. spar. So you need to get up at 4:35. We needed to leave home by 6. No.
Because it was a 7 o'clock start.
Oh, my bad. It was 7. So we needed to be up at 5:30, leave at 6 to get there for 7. But to get there earlier to warm up. He goes out the night before.
Or actually, first he said to me, "I don't want to spar."
He did.
And I said to him, "I'm going to insist you spar, and the reason I'm going to insist you spar is I need to see where you're at. It won't be a hard spar." But we're getting close to fight week, but I need to see what your fitness is like. I've not seen it. He said, I've done heaps of sparring back home. I said, yeah, but I haven't seen it. I need to see it if I'm going to confidently put you in the ring.
He was saying
for a
that
state
his
title.
Wrist or his
elbow was sore. I said,
but keeping in mind that he just hit pads.
Yeah.
And
so
that's more taxing on your elbow.
So he said to me, okay, then I'll spar. And then...
So then we set it up for the people, for the other athlete and the other manager and the other coach for the next morning. So keeping in mind that we're wasting their time.
And then he said to me, I'm just going to go out for 2 or 3 hours, coach. I said, no worries.
You do you, you're an adult.
Never came home.
Never came home. You're there at 5:30 in the morning knocking on the room door.
Thinking he might be home.
Thinking he's home.
Yeah, we need to go. Open the door, he's not in his room. Text him. Answers me at 7 a.m. Sorry, coach, I went out and I've slept in and I'm not going to make it in time.
So
he didn't want to spar.
Athlete and this other coach and this other manager are thinking that we're sparring. So number one, we're wasting other people's time here. Waking up so early in the morning to get there for a spar that we're not rocking up for. Like, this is just not the standard.
Yeah, at all.
At all. In no way, shape or form. And so because he didn't want to spar, he just didn't come home.
And I'd given him that opportunity, which his coach had asked for. You've now blown that opportunity, fight's over.
Yeah.
So then he come and saw me. I said, fight's over. And he come and saw me and said, can you please change your mind, give me one more chance? I said, no, we're done. We've done too many chances. I didn't kick him out of the house or cancel his contract right then and there. What I wanted to do was leave the door open for him to step into his professionalism and say, do you know what? Okay, that fight's over, which is disappointing. I'm going to prove myself to you. Sign me another fight and give me 6 or 8 weeks and I'll prove myself to you. But that's not what happened. No. He then disappeared. He moved out, took his stuff, got really upset, come and had a meeting with me, lied to me and said that I had kicked his partner out, that he'd heard the whole conversation because she had her phone on her, which is 100% not true.
Because they had blocked each other?
One, they'd blocked each other. Two, the thing she'd said about him, if he'd heard that...
She was bagging him in that conversation.
Everything was his fault.
Yeah.
And three, I know she didn't have a phone with her because I went and asked her to come down from her room and her phone was there. So all of that's a lie, but that's okay. We kind of, by this stage... when you've got that gut feel, when you just know, when you've seen all the red flags and it's all finally confirmed, I was at peace with the decision. I was totally at peace with the decision. And I just said, mate, that's a total lie, and that's for you to own. I said, you're being manipulated if you believe that I would kick someone out of the house, that you're being manipulated. And I'll stand by that comment, because that'll come up in the next part of this, where she wrote things about me calling her a manipulator. Well, I am, because you were manipulating. You were both lying and manipulating. But the whole point of this is, we don't owe you anything. We gave you a lot. We're now walking away from that because you didn't fulfill your end.
She did the whole tantrumy, dramatic leave in the dark ting, and then she kind of just had to run with it. So you did kick me out, and that's why I was on the street.
People go so far down the road of a lie that they have to stick with the lie. And then I think they almost have to believe the lie in order to keep selling it, because otherwise you've got to look at your partner and go, well, I actually lied. And no one's doing that. It's not when they've gone that far down the road. So all in all, it's been a really poor experience that we must own, because we are personal development people, and we had meetings and we had sit-downs. We tried to resolve the differences between them. We had tears. We had everything going on. This is over the whole 5 months, and it was constant. It caused so much chaos in our world, and we did everything we could, and we had to put our hand on our heart and say, we've done everything we can. And look, this kid's so talented that, of course, as a coach, you want to work with them, and that's how they get away with it, because too many coaches will bend over backwards and say, I don't care. You do whatever you want, no matter how bad it is. I'm gonna stick, I had a friend years ago. I won't name these people because they're very well known. One was an Olympian, went on and held versions of world titles, but my friend trained him right through the amateur system to 2 Olympics. When he turned professional, he won Australian titles in his first and second fights. This kid was really talented, but he was very heavily involved in the drug scene, and my mate is very against that. And his reasoning was that if I overlook this, which he constantly did, and one day he said to the athlete, if I catch this or it happens again, I'm not going to work with you. By this time, the athlete's starting to become a profile. He's starting to make money. And my mate's never been paid because he's working through the amateurs. But if he fights for a world title, which he did go on and fight for a world title, and gets $1 million, you get 20% of that. So it's worth it. But he walked in one day, unannounced. He just walked into the athlete's house, and they had pills all over the table, and they were bagging him up for sale. And my mate just said, I'm out. And everyone said to him, you're mad. He's just about to start making money. And he said, no, but my moral compass is such that he had 3 young kids. His wife had passed away from cancer when she was young. And he just said, look, if I overlook this, and when my kids are 16, 18 and end up addicted to drugs, I'm almost a part of that somehow. You've got to stand by your moral code, your values. Now, it might be, I'm not saying they're my values or anyone else's, but they're his. And everyone in the industry said to him, you're mad because you're going to make hundreds of thousands of dollars off this bloke. He didn't care. And I've always admired that. And I've probably struggled with that a bit, where because this is not the first time I've done this, where I've let a really good athlete, as in talented athlete, get away with not doing the work, not telling the truth, bleeding off me or people around us, getting sponsors and then not delivering back to the sponsors, all the things I disagree with, but you're good enough in your sport that I'm just going to overlook that. And then the opposite side of that is we have such good athletes, yourself, Shalom Suaso, Tanya Latupo, even Jaden Nicarima, who's over in England now, people that I've worked with who would literally give you the shirt off the back, who would literally do so much work, you've almost got to pull them back sometimes. So it's not all bad. And I don't want to turn into someone that stops backing people because of these things happen. But what you and I have decided is we've got to be smarter, and we've got to look for the red flags, and we've got to own our piece and go, we empowered that because we ignored some things. Yeah. The standard you walk past is the standard you accept.
Absolutely.
So that's what I think we have to take out of this.
Yeah. So basically, don't get stepped on in efforts to help somebody because you believe in them.
And don't be made to feel bad. And the moral compass of all this is, one, these people, are constantly pushing their faith and their religion, which really amazes me when you do tell lies and stuff. And the partner then started writing all this stuff on social media in stories and stuff, absolutely defaming and slandering me personally, calling me a liar, that I had done this, and this.
And making out like I'm some idiot who doesn't believe, who just believes everything that you say and you're a liar.
Really tried to go, but did it in a way where they had blocked us And
blocked us,
as many
blocked
people as
anybody who thinks that is connected with me. So one of my very good friends from Perth came over for my pro debut, and they met each
person.
other. So they naturally followed each other on Instagram. So she had her
and your
blocked.
friend even bought her kids' clothes, and
Like
after
these
one
are the
meeting,
type of people that I surround myself with, is people who are genuinely good people who do something for somebody who cannot do anything back for them. Because my friend from Perth is not buying your baby clothes because she thinks you're going to give her something. No. She's doing it because she's a good person.
Yeah.
And she thinks that you need
So they
help.
all got blocked.
So they all got blocked, and then she starts posting all this slandering thing. But she missed one because one of my homegirls screenshotted everything and showed it to us.
It's pretty bad.
It was pretty bad, and it was just
And
so
I think say what you want
unnecessary.
about people, but give them a right of return.
Absolutely.
Say it with your chest.
Say it with your chest. Say it to us and say it with your chest. Don't be hiding in the shadows. So that's giving. You just want to prove your lies to all the people that you've conned because you're only giving this piece of information or information, like all of this stuff is only going to the people that you are in your corner. So you're trying to convince them
And then
that you're telling the truth.
the other
Because
thing
if you had us unblocked, then we're able to respond.
and we didn't ask for anything back for everything we gave, except that there was a medical procedure that needed to be done that had nothing to do with us. That was their mistake that they asked us to pay for.
And it wasn't life-threatening. It wasn't anything, because if it was life-threatening, I'm paying for that every single day of the week, and I'm not asking for that
It was
back.
a choice you made that then you wanted to change that choice.
That you wanted to change that
that we
choice.
paid for.
We paid for.
Really, Millie ended up doing 2 or 3 extra night shifts to pay for.
Because, again, we're not rich.
And then Millie just said,
We
you
work
need to
very
pay that
hard.
back. And the person said, yep, I will, and then didn't. Initially paid $200 and then just disappeared.
And
it
then
was
blocked
over
me.
$1,000, blocked her. And then so we had to contact the parents back in PNG to say,
Yeah.
your daughter owes this money. And
And if you block and I'll pay the rest later. You don't get to tell me. You don't get to dictate the terms on when you're going to pay me back my money. You have a conversation with me and I'll agree or disagree. That is the
that's entitlement 101.
decent thing to do when
To
you
think
owe
you can do
somebody money. But you're going to pay me a minuscule amount of it and then block me and tell me you'll pay me later. That's not how it rolls.
Yeah.
And then weeks and weeks go by and I'm like, when am I getting my money? And because
that's our kids' money, effectively.
100%. And because they're going around slandering our name, and we're hearing this before we saw the screenshots from other people, from other gyms, from that we introduced them to. I'm like, okay, I don't care about your situation, because when I get mad, I get mad. And it's like, I don't care about your situation anymore because you didn't care about my situation and you took that money off me, and I had to go and do night shifts and be away from my family because of your dumb mistake. And so I don't care what's happening in your life.
Some of the
I
night
want my money
shifts
back.
that you do, like the Millie does, is 2 p.m. till 6 a.m. That's a long time to be away from our family.
Yeah.
That none of that money was going to us. It's to help you fix a problem that you and your partner created.
Yeah.
We didn't create.
Nope.
So, yeah. And look, I just want to be really clear that this is not about having a chop at these people. This is about genuinely sharing with you, the watcher and the listener, that you can be a good person and find yourself in a really bad situation that you must own. So we could say, they're shit, they're this, they're that, but we have to own our piece.
Yes.
Otherwise, we're going to keep making those mistakes.
We be doing too much, regardless of the red flags, because we genuinely see the good in people, and sometimes that clouds our vision.
Yeah.
And so for anybody listening, if you feel like you've ever been in this situation, like really stop being clouded, because it's happened one too many times.
I think your strengths in life are also your weaknesses.
Yeah.
Because you can go, like, you can be loyal to a fault. You can, whatever your strength is, you can be so, like, for us, it is helping people. You can go so far down that line, and then people can still turn on you. And you've got to learn that they don't owe you anything, because you made all those, we made all the decisions. So they don't owe us anything. But what I will demand from people is respect at least.
The base level.
And you will not attack me publicly.
100%.
I will stand my ground.
Me too.
Because people might like or dislike that, but that's who I am. I'm not going to be walked over by people.
No.
And if we let them just get away with that, then you've been walked over twice.
100%.
So that's it's not as the usual upbeat, positive episode that we do, to be fair.
No.
But it's raw and it's real and it's honest.
And we want to share everything from the highs to the lows, and that was a really low point in our lives. You know.
And if we are telling you a similar story in 12 months, then you can look at us and go,
what are you doing?
these two haven't learned.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to be held to that account.
100%.
Because this has happened a couple of times in the last couple of years. And really, to be honest, you've become my strength to stand up to people a little bit more. Whereas sometimes I go, oh, well, whatever, it happens. But now I'm saying, no, we've got to stop doing that. Because if it's just me on my own and my kids are grown up, I guess it doesn't really hurt that much. But with you and the boys, we've got a young family. Every time you have to think twice about whether you can afford to buy something for the kids, be it Christmas, birthday's a thing, and you've given money to other people, well, you've got to remember that wasn't free money. Even though we were willing to do it, that's come from our family. And so it's a level of self-preservation and putting your family first, which we all say we do, but in this situation we didn't really. We put these people in front.
Because how nice is it now that we have the spare room for Mum to come and stay?
Yeah,
or
Mum
every
just
single
visited,
time
Christian visits.
Christian comes, we bought him a whole new
Sammy's,
bedspread.
Samantha spent a night.
You know, he got his own Spider-Man bedspread. Like, we set it up for Christian because that's Christian's room.
Yeah.
And we displaced him for too long for people who just didn't care about us.
Yeah.
Who just used us. And we put our families out.
And now have the
people
hide
who
to
don't
go out
deserve
and
it.
be upset about it.
Oh, my God. That's the other thing. It's like, even if her story was true about you kicked me out, it's our house. It's my house. I can do what I want with my house that I pay for.
We laugh now, but we've been really annoyed about this.
Yeah.
And this is where it'll end for us in the sense that we've allowed this to take up too much real estate inside our heads.
Yes, it's done now. It's done.
Even
We're
in the
back
car,
to our family.
we start talking about it because we just something annoys us. But you've just got to let it go.
Yeah, we need to look at ourselves. We need to stop displacing our own family because essentially that's what we did. So
Lessons learned. What are the lessons learned out of this to tie off the
whenever
episode?
you see a red flag, just honestly hold your own standards.
Yeah.
And just nip it in the bud, regardless of what you think or what potential that you see in people. Don't feel bad about holding your own standards because more often than not, those will come back to bite
And if
you.
it comes up more than once, it's no longer a mistake or an accident. This is now a pattern. And start to look at patterns of behaviour, not words. Because the words we were told were very different than what was, the actions that were being taken. So that's it for this Mayhem Monday.
Sorry, it got a bit dark.
Let's get a bit dark. We'll change that over the next few weeks. We're going to not do NGLs, I don't think, for a little while because we've got so much we need to catch up on. And there's been really good feedback on episodes we've done where we've just talked about a thing. So next week's episode, Millie and I are going to talk about something that we both like to agree to disagree on, which is that other people can't make you feel a thing.
You have your own choices and it's your choice to feel that. So that's how I feel about it.
Who's right and who's wrong?
We'll see.